What up? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and we are just getting through a disgusting major heat wave here in New York. Lots of humidity, lots of sweat, zero air, and it's kind of funny because I ran into somebody on a train that recognized from this show. Kind of crazy, thank you. And they had a Leica on the neck, and they told me they actually traveled here to New York specifically for the summer to capture their street photography here during the season. Specifically, right? And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty crazy time to take shots and get the idea of summer in New York when there's a humongous, disgusting heat wave that everyone's not acting like themselves. So it got me to thinking, how many of you go travel and look for places to shoot based on the seasons or the conditions going on in the area? I'm not just talking about like landscape people who shoot the fall weather and the changing of the leaves, but maybe the social behavior of people based on the time of year or what's going on. Is there anybody out there that does that? I'm sure there's a lot of journalistic people that look towards that direction, but is any hobbyists or prosumers out there that want to go like, I'm going to go here during this time of year to capture this? Let me know down below in the comments. I want to hear from you. But in the meantime, we have a ton of stuff to get through. This is pretty major. The CASE Act was passed by a Senate Judiciary Committee. This is a big, big deal. So over here, the blogger actually tells you that the CASE Act is called the Copyright Alternative and Smallest Claim Enforcement. What this basically is it sets up a small claims court for copyright infringement for photographers and other things, obviously, but mainly you can get up to $30,000 damages in copyright claims right there in small claims court, as opposed to going through the federal system, which is very expensive, very lengthy, lots of stipulations. This allows for someone who doesn't have a lot of resources to defend themselves the ability to collect on copyright, which is a big, big deal. We talk about this probably every other rewind, right? About people taking people's images. We're living in the Wild West right now with people just taking images off of Instagram or posting them to their Instagram or who knows what's going on. But if you guys want to be heard on this, the Senate is going to be talking about this, and you can actually go here to this link from the Photographer, go right down to the bottom, and right here where it says letter, if you click on that, it'll load up and it'll take you right here where you can just click right here and take action to support the CASE Act. So get on that if this means something to you, and I hope it does, as anyone who's trying to be a working photographer out there, or just hold your ground as a creator, that people can't just take your stuff, right? And I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that came up in the comments last week in regards to last week's issue with the stock image of a photo, making it to the cover of a magazine. I know there was a lot of things written down in the comments. We're going to talk about that a little later. Stick with me on that. But speaking of things like Instagram, they've expanded to 7 countries testing out hiding likes. So that's right, in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Ireland, Italy, Japan, and New Zealand, they've tested out an interface that looks like this, where there's no like count. What that basically does is make people not able to see what the interaction is beyond the comments. You yourself as the account owner can see your likes, but other people that just pass by your profile won't be able to see it, and therefore it becomes less about do other people like this? Is there social pressure to also like this? Is there a value to this image because people double tapped it? It's going to change a lot of things, and especially all those companies that sell you likes for $2 or whatever it is. I think they're going to feel some hurt if this spreads through the whole entire world Instagram system. I'm pretty curious to see if this will affect industries like the influencers and sponsorships and other things like that, because how many times have you seen a huge following but the like count was small and you go, you bought followers, or they had a ton of likes but no comments, you bought likes. Well, we're going to take away this ability to buy popularity or validation or value? Let me know down in the comments if you're psyched on that. I, for one, am, but who knows? And just as we're creating more content than ever before, so we're kind of having to refine the ways we absorb this content. And here's new from Shutterstock. They announced Elements, which is a library of quality video effects for filmmakers. So Shutterstock has been known for still images in the stock photo industry, but now they're going to contain about 3,000 high-quality items, such as capture with cinema-grade camera lenses. They're going to give you little video clips with higher quality stock video. There's also going to be transitions. You're going to get video kits, film overlays, HUDs, transitions, lens flare, all sorts of like preset-y type stuff, which is great for bloggers, right? Especially people that just want to put out content but don't want to take the time to create the next level themselves. They don't need to make that lens flare themselves. They just need the lens flare to exist in their videos, to elevate their style or show their point of view. This could go either way, right? It could be another way of killing an industry of maybe that vlogger that would have hired a video crew or somebody to follow them around while they're doing whatever. They might now self-publish completely and just buy the pieces that they need to create it. We got to see what's going on here. We got to see which way the industry is going to shift. I'm sure a lot of people that do video are about to write me down in the comments that this is not so helpful. But on the other end of it, maybe you could just be somebody who's in the pro division and create 20 types of lens flare and sell it on Shutterstock now. So maybe that's the new avenue to make revenue, as opposed to being there on the spot, creating a commissioned piece for somebody. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. We'll just see how it goes. In more video news, DJI Ronin SC, the smaller and lower cost gimbal for mirrorless cameras. So we're looking at this little guy. The Ronin is one of the most popular gimbals ever, and now they made a smaller, lighter version of it that's lower cost. It can hold up to about 4 pounds, so that's a decent amount of weight for like a mirrorless camera and a decent sized lens. And we're looking at about 440 bucks for the basic kit. It's got a lot of cool features in it, including a tracking system where you can connect it with your phone, and based on the way you hold your phone, it can mimic the motions. So your gimbal can be away from you or mounted somewhere, and you can just, with the motion of your phone, get the pans and tilts that you want, which I think is pretty rad. It has sport modes and things like that. It seems like a pretty great kit to just get started with, especially since it's a DJI. You know, it's got quality in there. The motors on their gimbals are great. And the Ronin was just like a staple forever, and it still is. But if you ever said, man, this thing is just too big, a little bit too much weight, the SC has got you covered. Let's talk about some special edition stuff. So Hasselblad creates a 50 Years on the Moon 907X special edition. This thing isn't even out yet, and they have a special edition for it. Look at how sleek and stealth that is. Oh, look at this, look at this. Wait, oh, look at that. Oh, I want it. So what is this thing? It is a digital back that allows for older systems to be used with it, like the V system, your 500s. You can click it in there and you have a digital back ready to go. This one though is a special edition, all stealth and black. It's gonna obviously be more of a collector piece. They're thinking about $7,500. The regular one is about, they don't know, they're speculating it's gonna be about a $5,000 piece. I wish I could get that. I would love to dust off my V system and go digital with it. Not that I'm hating on film at all. But speaking of film, Lomo is introducing their first new color film stock in half a decade. Yep. So it's called Metropolis, and it actually is a 100 to 400 ISO range, which means depending on how you expose it, it changes the characteristics of the film. It has an interesting grain count. Let me see. So these are some beta images for it, but you can actually see the grain count has a lot of cinema look to it, but it's very, very hyper sharp. It has this look to it that you can't deny, so you have to know what you're shooting. Look at that grain right there. I mean, it's huge, but it's got a specific look. It's got a feel to it, and it definitely has like a separation where you're definitely, between the image and you is this grain count. It's kind of interesting. I'm curious if anybody's going to be into that. I'm sure there are going to be people. Lomo has a huge following, and a lot of people just have fun with lomography. It's low pressure. Load the film, let the characteristics of the plastic cameras and their lenses and the light leaks and whatever else do their job, and get psyched on what you get. I don't know, if you're a Lomo shooter, let me know down below what your favorite Lomo camera is. Boy, I'm going a little too fast today. Let's talk about some Fuji news. So this is a big deal. Fujifilm unveils an XF 16 to 80 full f4, not variable aperture, full f4 lens with 6 stops of stabilization. This is a pretty big deal, especially if you're someone with an X-T3 that wants to shoot that 4K 60 and have stabilization. You now have it in the optics, and with, oh, look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. And the price point, we're looking at 800 bucks. That's pretty great for a lens like this. 16 to 80 full f4 is pretty great for video. That range and not having that variable aperture as you're zooming in and out is fantastic. And like I said, the stabilization is huge. So take a look at that if you're in the Fuji system. Congratulations, is a great addition to it. And another lens that they put out, which is for the medium format system, it is a 50mm 3.5 little pancake guy. Look at that. So this is pretty awesome because a small lens on like a rangefinder medium format is a godsend. And look at how tiny that is. 3.5, pretty fast for medium format. It's pretty wide. 50mm is pretty wide on medium format, and we're looking at about $1,000 on price point for that. So you can check that out in the link below. And let's talk about the last bit of Fujifilm news. The GFX 100, which I was privileged to shoot prototype models in Tokyo when they released it. 102 megapixel medium format. So this guy shoots the moon. This is the frame. And then here's how he was able to crop it and maintain all that detail of the moon and the range. It's pretty awesome. And it was shot with a 110 f2 lens. And it was one of the lenses I brought with me to Japan when I got to go try that camera out. Awesome. I mean, it's really awesome. I can't tell you how much fun I had with that GFX 100. I'll put the link below to my Tokyo video if you guys want to check out my hands-on review. I shot myself getting tattooed while I held the camera. But speaking of high res, this isn't new news, right? I mean, it popped out just as I ended Rewind last week. Sony unveiled the A7R Mark IV, the world's first 61 megapixel full frame camera. So the A7R Mark III is getting an update here. So we're looking at the R4 with a 61 megapixel highest res full frame sensor we've seen, and it's quite a beast. Let's take a look at some of these features. Of course, yeah, the flippy screen, and they did better ergonomics. You can see there's more space here. One of the issues I had with Sony's was I couldn't fit my fingers in there with certain lenses. The EV lock is a big deal, and I think, yeah, a more prominent joystick is a big deal for people. It's more weather sealed. It looks like they heard the complaints about the build quality on certain models, and we're looking at 1.75 pounds of weight. And where's this? There we go. So 15 stops of dynamic range. We're looking at 5.5 stops image stabilization, which is typical, but the 5.76 million dot OLED viewfinder is a big deal. We've seen that in the Panasonic. It's probably like the new standard for viewfinders. I think Sony had the mirrorless going out for the full frame mirrorless going out forever. Then Canon and Nikon dropped theirs, and they have the 3 point whatever megapixel viewfinder or whatever it is in there, and that looked beautiful. And I think we're just in an awkward phase of the 5.7 megapixel viewfinder becoming like the standard, and I'm sure everyone else is going to follow suit here, especially since Panasonic's viewfinder is beautiful as well. If you're in the Sony system, this is a pretty great price point for you to jump. It's what, $3,500, and you know, you're good to go if you need that much resolution. You tell me. A lot of people are going like, I didn't want the resolution, I wanted better video quick capabilities. And people are also asking like, where's the A7S III? Look, I don't know what you're all freaking out about. We have amazing toys in this world these days, and especially with all the technology they're cramming into things. If certain cameras aren't for you, guess what? You don't gotta buy them, but you can just get psyched on what you have because we have such amazing technology out there nowadays. Enjoy it, okay? Just enjoy it. Speaking of that Hasselblad, right? I totally messed up the order of this, I'm sorry. But there is a cheaper digital back out there. Look at this. So I'm Back, which is a company, unveils a cheap digital back for old medium format cameras. Look at this. So here it is, and it's going on to a, what is it, a Hasselblad 500 right there, or 503. And it has different adapters for different, let me see, I'm trying to get to it. Here it is. The adapters for all different types of medium format backs, Pentax 6.7s, Bronica S, which is awesome, Mamiya 645, I have a couple of those, Hasselblad 500s. Now, these are the sample images from it. Here's the catch. Yeah, oh, look, it actually says the catch. 16 megapixel sensor, that's about the size of a GoPro sensor. So you're not getting a medium format size sensor, you're just getting a back that's able to adapt to an older medium format to give you a digital output. Is this worth it? Well, at a price point of $400, you tell me. If you already have the systems, you already have the lenses you like using, although this is going to change the characteristics of your lenses, this is going to change the look that you're used to getting out of those medium format cameras, being put onto a CMOS sensor that is kind of like a raw sensor. It doesn't have what, you know, the like your smartphone would have to like kind of, you know, preset it or help out the range on it or give you like auto mode on it. So we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of interested in it. I'm kind of curious what kind of a reception it'll get. I think it's just on crowdfunding right now, so you can check out the link if you're interested in that. I think $400 is an interesting price point for it. In my head, I was like, oh, $400 for a medium format back? That's pretty awesome. And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's $400 for some sort of digital output from my medium format setups. Is that worth? I don't know. I'd have to play with it to see, and then you'd have to think, well, when would you use this and apply it? I don't know. You tell me down below if that's some sort of system that would interest you. I'm sure there's people that have picked up or have been bequeathed someone's medium format setup. A lot of wedding photographers abandoned them when digital came out. There's a huge market of medium format stuff out there and stuff that's not made anymore, like Bronica and stuff like that. Also, some more gadgets I found that were pretty cool. This is pretty awesome. So Aurora Aperture unveils a revolutionary mirrorless lens adapter drop-in filters. What? Yeah, so this almost makes it like having built-in ND filters into your camera. Instead of having to worry about the diameter of the threads on whatever lens, so if you have like multiple lenses that have different sized threads, you don't have to worry about that. You just have this one adapter and you just keep dropping in the ND filters in the back, and it's available for like almost everything. The Canon mount for the EOS R, the FTZ for the Nikon, the Sigma MC11, the Sigma MC21 L mount. I mean, that is just awesome. We saw stuff like this when the Canon was introduced with their adapters. There was one with a drop-in filter, but this is available for like everything now, and that's pretty awesome. Also, the price point's pretty good. They're saying that the filters are going to cost somewhere around $44 to $83. That's pretty specific, but it is on a Kickstarter crowdfunding thing right now, so hit the link if you're interested in that. Check it out. I'm sure there's deals, and if you're early bird or whatever, but that is pretty rad. I'm wondering if one day we will see cameras with just the lens mount itself having the addition of a slot to drop in filters that way. I think a lot of people are hoping that mirrorless cameras going forward will have built-in ND filters like higher-end cinema cameras have. I don't know, seems like a workaround to me. I don't know the quality of the actual filters themselves. That's yet to be seen, but I think that's pretty awesome, I'm just going to say. And to keep things even more affordable, if you're someone that's been looking to get into Wacom and wanted something, or Wacom, I'm not even sure how you say it anymore, and you wanted a tablet that actually had a screen in it, well, the Cintiq 22 is super affordable now. So this is the Wacom that actually has a screen in it. So if you're somebody that uses Wacom and you were used to the Cintiq Pro line, that was $3,300. That was 32 inches. The 24 inch was $2,500. Well, now the 22 inch is going to be $1,200. That seems pretty feasible to me. That's pretty awesome altogether. A lot of people love Wacom. A lot of people are weary of getting into them or have an issue with training themselves to get into it. I was one of those people that I just could not compute it, and I didn't give it a real chance. I kind of wish I did. And I think something that actually has a screen in it would aid that, and now it's kind of feasible. So if you're someone like me, or if you're someone that's been on Wacom but always wanted one with a screen, this might be the time to jump. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And let's talk about this. Photographer posted this, and they I love the little oddball cultural stories they put in together. Jessica Lange, you know Jessica Lange from American Horror Story. She actually is an accomplished published photographer. American Horror Story, Jessica Lange announces Highway 61 photo book. So here we are, silver gelatin looking right there. Highway 61 photos by Jessica Lange. This is her third book, put out by Powerhouse Book, I believe. Yeah, published by Powerhouse. And she took a trip, and here's her images. And we talked about Brooklyn Beckham getting a book and people weren't receiving it well. This is kind of reminiscent to me of Robert Frank, The Americans. You guys remember The Americans, like these images right here, this famous book. It kind of reminds me of that. It's kind of similar premise, you know, traveling in silver gelatin of real people and their environments. I don't know, I'm curious, check out this book. I am curious to check out her other books now that I know that she has some books out there. Who knew? I didn't know. But it's kind of cool, and it's not like, it just seems like something she genuinely enjoys doing. So I would like to see her work and her point of view of what's out there in the world. I'm going to leave you there with the news, but I just wanted to clue you guys in that we still are doing the laptop giveaway on our Twitch channel. So if you go to twitch.tv/AdoramaXP, right here, the first 3,000 followers are entered into a raffle to win an MSI GE73 laptop. And the following count is only at 1,200 at the time of this recording. That leaves a lot of room for people to get in there. And once we get 3,000, I'll pull a name in a randomizer and you win a laptop. So come join us. And I also have been slinging out Adorama gift codes on the chat. If you go and hit up the stream, you can check it out. And you can see that once we get things going, the chat's flying and we're just going crazy, talking gaming, getting into the culture of it. And I'm just slinging out gift codes off of just straight up trivia. So you can just be someone that gets $10, $15, $25 off their order at Adorama just for hanging out in the chat and getting some gaming questions right. Now, we're going to talk about the comments from last week because some people decided to take a hit at me on this one. So actually, before I get into that, the issue was that in the UK, an image of David Lynch, which was a picture of a picture, ended up on the cover of a magazine. Now, this magazine is called The Big Issue, and apparently in the UK, it's made so that homeless people can sell it to earn an income. That's not the issue here. It's not. So let's talk about this. Hold on. Jim Taylor says, you do know that The Big Issue is in all profits to help homeless people set up, sold on street corners by homeless people to help give them employment. And then Ryan McConville wrote, I don't think he knows that. Maybe he should do more research. It doesn't matter. Yeah, get ready. Fire up those keyboards. I'm waiting for it. It doesn't matter what the end goal of the money from the issues that are being sold is. Someone took a picture of someone else's work and it ended up on the cover of a magazine that's sold for some sort of monetary value. Where that money goes makes no difference. If this becomes a precedent, if people are able to take a stock photography image of someone else's shot and put it out there and sell it, the stock photography agency that did that is liable for it. I mean, I'm sorry, but like I'm glad there's something out there to help the homeless. Here in New York, we have a humongous homeless population and I'm very sensitive to it, but that's not what this issue is about. What happened here is someone took a photo of someone else's photo and it ended up in stock photography and it ended up being on the cover of a magazine. And that image is what moved that magazine in order for those homeless people to sell more copies in order to get an income. It was an image of David Lynch that was done pretty beautifully. And I'm sure it was something that people recognized and took a look at really fast. In fact, the magazine themselves even said, we thought it would help move copies. They said it themselves if you watched last week's episode. I'm not heated here. I don't think people realize that I'm not against helping homeless people here. That's crazy. It's about the fact that this could happen again and on a commercial level. That's the issue. That's the issue, okay? You can write me down in the comments. I'll be there. I know I was slacked on last week. The heat wave, everything got crazy. My studio got busy really fast. I couldn't negotiate. I'll try to get on the comments this week on this episode and last week's episode. I'm sorry about that. But till then, I'm just going to leave you with this question of the week. What's something you've done with your own career to benefit somebody else? Have you done free headshots for people that need to get employment? Have you done a whole set of images for people who need to feel better about themselves? Have you shot animals at an animal shelter to help them get adopted? What's something you've done in photography or video or even audio to help out beyond just get a job? All right, I'm curious about that. Let me know down in the comments. Let's have some positive comments in there. And remember, you can write to each other. You can actually have discussions among each other, which I think is the best part of the comments personally. And also, don't forget my question in the beginning. Do you set your travels based on the time of year or seasons to capture something specifically? Like that guy told me on the train, he came to New York specifically for summer to capture what New York is like here in summertime socially. All right, guys, I'm out of here. This was a lot this week, but a lot of cool gear, a lot of cool issues. Go hit the links if you want to go write a letter about the CASE Act. I will see you guys next week. Hit like, share, blah, 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 blah. Hit the bell, whatever, subscribe. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're almost at 1 million subscribers, kids. So do us a favor and share the channel around and be 1 in a million. Get us to 1 million followers. That would be amazing. You know we're going to be planning something huge for that. Okay, I'm out of here. Later. Bye. Peace.